It is never acceptable for the government to take away our constitutional right to privacy. Just 6 weeks after the September 11th attacks, a panicked Congress passed the USA Patriot Act, an overnight revision of the nation's surveillance laws that vastly expanded the government's authority to spy on its own citizens, while simultaneously reducing checks and balances on those powers, just like judicial oversight, public accountability, and the ability to challenge government searches in court. Congress and the administration acted without any careful or systematic effort to determine whether weakness in our surveillance laws had contributed to the attacks, or whether the changes they were making would help prevent further attacks. Indeed, many of the Act's provisions have nothing at all to do with terrorism. If you live in the United States today, you need to understand that your privacy is being constantly eroded. Our world is going crazy, government paranoia is off the charts, and law enforcement authorities have become absolutely obsessed with watching us, listening to us, tracking us, recording us, compiling information on all of us, and getting us to spy on one another. One of the most significant provisions of the Patriot Act makes it far easier for the authorities to gain access to records of citizens' activities being held by a third party. At a time when computerization is leading to the creation of more and more such records, Section 215 of the Patriot Act allows the FBI to force anyone at all, including doctors, libraries, bookstores, universities, and internet service providers, to turn over records on their clients or customers. There are other ways that the government is watching us as well. The federal government has decided that what you and I share with one another on Facebook or Twitter could be a threat to national security. According to a recent Associated Press article, the Department of Homeland Security will soon be gleaning information from sites such as Twitter and Facebook for law enforcement purposes. Other law enforcement agencies are getting into the act as well. For example, the NYPD recently created a special social media unit dedicated to looking for criminals on social media networks such as Facebook and Twitter. New high-tech streetlights that are being funded by the federal government and that are being installed all over the nation can also be used as surveillance cameras, can be used by the DHS to make security announcements, and even be used to record personal conversations. More than 1 million hotel television sets all over America are now broadcasting propaganda messages from the Department of Homeland Security promoting the See Something, Say Something campaign. In essence, the federal government wants all of us to become informants and start spying on one another constantly. The FBI is now admittingly recording internet talk radio programs all over the United States. TSA VIPR teams are now conducting random inspections at bus stations and on interstate highways all over the United States. Thermal imaging face scanners are becoming much more sophisticated. Law enforcement authorities in the Western world are getting very excited about the pre-crime tools such as this that will enable them to prevent crimes before they happen. But face scanners are not just a tool that will be used in the future. The truth is that face scanners are being used all over the United States right now. The following comes from an article posted on Singularity Hub. Law enforcement continues to adopt new technologies in an effort to make their jobs easier and keep us safer. The latest gizmo attaches to officers' iPhones and turns them into biometric face scanners. The scanners have already been street tested in Massachusetts. Pretty soon, cops all across the United States will be using them to ID suspects. Before long, technology like this will be all over America. In fact, the FBI has announced that it will be activating a nationwide facial recognition service in January. Another pre-crime technology currently being tested by the United States Department of Homeland Security is the Future Attribute Screening Technology, also known as the FAST program. The following description of this new program comes from an article in the London Telegraph. Using cameras and sensors, the pre-crime system measures and tracks changes in a person's body movements, the pitch of their voice, and the rhythm of their speech. It also monitors breathing patterns, eye movements, blink rate, and alterations in body heat, which are used to assess an individual's likelihood to commit a crime. The Future Attribute Screening Technology program is already being tested on a group of government employees who volunteered to act as guinea pigs. Do you want government officials to pull you aside and interrogate you just because you're feeling a little bit nervous one particular day? Sadly, pre-crime technology is even being used on our children. The Florida State Department of Juvenile Justice has announced that it will begin using analysis software to predict crime by young delinquents and will place potential offenders in a specific prevention and education program. How soon will it be before this type of thing is applied to adults? Our children are being programmed to accept the fact that they will be watched and monitored constantly. For example, the United States Department of Agriculture is spending large amounts of money to install surveillance cameras in the cafeterias of public schools all across the nation so that government control freaks can closely monitor what our children are eating. The U.S. government is also increasingly using polls and surveys as tools to gather information about all of us. A very disturbing document that Oath Keepers have obtained shows that the FBI is now instructing store owners to report many new forms of suspicious activity to them. According to the document, suspicious activity now includes the following: paying with cash, missing a hand or fingers, strange odors, making extreme religious statements, radical theology, purchasing weatherproofed ammunition or match containers, purchasing meals ready to eat, purchasing night vision devices, night flashlights, or gas masks. Do any of those signs of suspicious activity apply to you? According to a report on WorldNet Daily, this document is a part of a series of brochures that will be distributed to farm supply stores, gun shops, military shops, and even hotels and motels. In some areas of the country, law enforcement authorities are pulling data out of cell phones for no reason whatsoever. According to the ACLU, state police in Michigan are now using extraction devices to download data from the cell phones of motorists that they pull over. This is happening even if the motorists are pulled over are not accused of doing anything wrong. The government can spy on us and record our conversations seemingly without any limitation, but in many areas of the country it has become illegal to watch them or record them in public. For example, one 20-year-old man down in Florida was recently arrested for trying to document a confrontation that he was having with police on his iPhone. But if we can't record them, how can we prove our side of the story in court? America is becoming a much different place. Our privacy is being eroded in thousands of different ways. National governments and big corporations know far more about you than you probably could imagine. Yes, there will always be security threats, but we should not have to throw away any of our rights in order to be safe. America is supposed to be about liberty and freedom. It's supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's never okay to take away citizens' right to privacy. The Constitution was written to protect the rights of the citizens of the United States. These are the rights that we are entitled to, and they are not to be infringed upon for any reason.